everyone. Welcome back to the Wild Thoughts podcast. I'm your co-host, Kat.
I'm your co-host, Afi.
And today we're going to get into some recent events that have happened. We're going to talk abortion and women's rights. But before we get into this, I just want to say a disclaimer that this might be a sensitive episode with some triggering topics. So just be wary of that. If you can't listen to this, that's fine. You can just skip this episode. But yeah, we're going to talk about it because
it's intense.
It needs to be discussed addressed. Yeah.
I think we wanted to kind of start off by kind of saying how we felt about it and what goes through our minds and how do we feel when we think about this. So I don't know if you want to go first, Kathy, or when you first heard the news.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I just immediately was like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, why is this still a topic of discussion?
Exactly.
It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Because we literally went back on our rights.
Exactly.
We voted for it to be, I know that it was actually very controversial, which I don't think I realized because I haven't done enough research and I guess I don't really follow all the politics behind it. But to me, it was like, we're so advanced and for such a modern society, having the right to abortion, it's always been something that I knew was an option. You can have an abortion if you're not, I never went back in time to see when that right was given to women.
Yeah.
And to think that it's being taken away in the United States of America.
It blows my mind. It's also I saw a lot of people, literally a lot of people were discussing that and saying people literally moved to America to have a better life. More
opportunity, more freedom.
And you're taking all of that away.
Exactly. Might as well stay, where there they have laws too, I'm assuming, but it just makes no sense. And the thing is, for me too, I don't think it hit me. I think now that we're discussing it, it's I'm realizing.
It's sinking in.
Yeah, it's sinking in because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But initially, I wasn't right away affected. Even though I am a woman, I've never had an abortion, so I don't know what it's like and what it would feel like to not be able to have that. But
yeah.
I feel it, but not to the same extent as maybe some other women. But then also because it was in the United States and we're in Canada. But the thing is that everything that happens in the United States has a direct effect to Canada and everywhere else. Because it's United States runs, it's North America in general is just very, it's the modern, everyone follows them. So, but it's just crazy. And it kind of feels fictional. I feel like I'm reading something and it's not real life.
It's just I don't know why why men are still making laws about women and choosing what they can and can't do.
Exactly.
It's I thought we've moved past this, but obviously not. And it's also the people that are deciding these kind of laws are obviously Republican.
Yes, they're more on
they're conservative side. And it's kind of they're still using religion as an excuse to decide these
I thought
laws.
It was separate, religion and state.
Period. Okay, first of all. But it's always the people that twist religion to get what they want that are making these and deciding these laws.
Yeah, but it's I even heard people screw religion. Not everyone, first of all, goes by the same religion.
Yeah.
Second of all, not everyone is religious or believes in a higher power or a religion. So what the hell? Who are you to decide on other people's beliefs and make it a law, a political thing, But is it even about religion? Because you're making a law. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't see. That's the thing. It's I don't know. I think there was some base off of religion that people use for arguments because they're oh, you're killing you thou shalt not kill type of thing, and I'm
oh my god, y'all are getting dramatic now.
Relax. There's reasons for why we're doing this. Exactly. It's not we just want to kill babies.
But I'm pretty sure that so I'm pretty sure in the Quran, which I'm assuming in because I know the Bible and the Quran are very similar, but from what I read, that an abortion is not sinful, because that's what I read from our religious text.
Yeah, I can't.
It's not.
You know what?
I'm not 100% sure.
Speak on the Bible because I've never read the Bible. I'm not that religious.
I haven't read it either. So
I'm not that religious. I just know one of the sins is to kill another human.
But I feel abortion is it's not an exception, but it's not. Can't we debate if it's a human yet or not? You know what I mean? But I think I googled it. I didn't finish reading the Quran, so I don't know. But I think I googled it to look it up, if it would be a sinful or not, and it was no, usually it's not. So I'm
but the thing is, religion's also very interpretation based.
Right, that's true. That's very tricky.
So if one person's preaching that like, yes, you're killing another human,
and then another
it starts
one is
catching
not.
on because
Exactly.
people are preaching about it, and like that's how it kind of like flows.
Exactly. But regardless, it shouldn't matter if it's religion or not at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's very frustrating, I think, especially as women too, to think that like,
it's like, why can't we decide for ourselves?
Exactly.
It's just like,
and it's like a matter of life or death.
Yeah.
Because we were looking into it, and there were a lot of resources going around, but if you can't have an abortion, you can literally die. And there are many reasons why you would need an abortion. It's not only just because, oh, you can't afford to have a child. Like, there are other, like, medical reasons, you know?
Yeah. We're going to give a few examples later on. Yeah. But the last thing I kind of want to say about this is, like, I was, like, reflecting on this, and I kind of was like, oh, I have hope because I feel like our generation's very open. We're kind of understanding about these things. But then you see videos of people, like, on TikTok, especially, you know, like how some people like interview random people on the street.
Yeah, they hesitate or don't know.
Pro-life. And I'm like,
it's just the men.
Exactly. And I feel like it's just because people don't want to learn.
Yeah.
They just want to stay ignorant because like, okay, this is what I was told. And I'm like, I'm not going to take the time to research. I'm not going to like actually learn for myself. They're like, I'm just going to go with this because this is what I was taught.
Yeah.
But it's like, if the people that are teaching you are already biased to begin with.
Exactly. Like, why aren't you questioning? What are your beliefs? But actually, I was saying, oh, men this, men that. But I've seen women too, like, justifying.
Yeah, but like the court that ruled for the law that we're going to speak about.
Yeah, there was a
woman that was pro-life.
Like, are you dumb or are you dumb?
But that's where it comes in. It's like, are you just basing it off of your religious beliefs?
And maybe because you've never had to get an abortion,
exactly,
and maybe you're fine in life.
The whole picture.
Yeah, maybe you had no medical issues where you had like, girl, sit down.
Seriously.
But actually, okay, so when we were listening, so Kathy and I listened to the Girls Gotta Eat episode about the recent abortion, like, news and all of that, and they were also saying how, like, okay, look, we understand men, they may not be able to put themselves in our shoes because, you know, they can't, like, biologically, like, get pregnant and don't necessarily have to go through abortions. But it's still, like, I think the support of men, like, if they repost, that's still, like, even if you don't understand it, it still matters. Like, you have to understand it to some level.
Yeah.
Just try to, like, reflect and consciously think about it.
Yeah.
And think about your mom, you know, if she was going through this.
Yeah, your mom, your sister,
anybody,
girlfriend,
any woman that you have, like, just think about, like,
your daughter,
the pain
like,
it would put them through, you know? Because I know they may not be able to fully feel the emotion, but like some understanding.
But just think.
Just think, you know? For a second, which are two, like...
I also saw a TikTok talking about this when the news came out. They were like, oh, this is all of women's Instagram stories for the week. And it was all like reposts about abortion and abortion rights and all that stuff. And then men, it was all sports.
I saw like almost no guys that
I did not see anyway. But it's also like, I don't want to put into the world that it's like, oh, if you don't post about it,
you're not doing anything.
Support it.
But if you're posting other stories that are dumb and you don't have 1 second, that's my issue.
Exactly.
If you're not posting anything, okay, whatever. But if you're taking the time to go on Instagram, post a dumb meme.
Yeah. When you're seeing like everyone else is talking about
like, it's
this
a bit
specific
different,
thing.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're not doing anything, but it's more like the focus is not on your sports right now. It's not on you, bro. Like, no, exactly. You need to support. Women are the center of life, okay? Support. And the women that are like... But also, look, everyone has their right to choose what they want to do. And that's what we're fighting for.
Exactly.
It's not that, like, exactly. It's the choice to be able to either have an abortion or not have an abortion. Mm-hmm. So we still respect everyone's, you know, whatever. But it's just to not take it away from other people.
Exactly.
That's what's disrespectful.
Give us the freedom to have the choice and don't, like, put us down for having that choice.
And don't input your beliefs onto ours. Because now
that's, like, a bigger topic that, like, everyone does.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
it always rolls around to like people have intense beliefs that they try to force upon others.
Yeah, like very extremist. Like, but also what Kathy was saying, it's like, oh, we have hope in our generation, but the issue is the people that are at the top making these decisions in court, they're old.
Yeah,
they're old.
And it's like, we need to speed this shit up. We can't wait for us
But
to
how
be
do
there.
we get into there?
Yeah, like, that's the thing.
We need to study law. Like, what's happening?
We need to study law. So let's maybe get into the law itself. So we can talk about the court of appeal. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. You know more than me.
We did study business law, but I don't remember anything.
Bro, that class, I was watching, barely watched anything. Anyways. So when Kathy and I were looking into it, we were kind of curious as to like, if you don't know the politics and everything, like, what does Roe versus Wade even mean? Where does that name even come from? So for someone like me too, I don't know much behind the politics and the laws and the constitutional rights and all of that. I just always knew that we could have abortions.
Yeah.
The situation that Roe versus Wade is fighting for took place actually in 1970, but the actual case, like to appeal it or to deter, exactly, took place in 1973, and it was just saying that unduly restrictive state regulation of abortion is unconstitutional, and like criminalizing abortion in most instances violated a woman's like constitutional right of privacy. So basically that's why the case was made, and that's why they were able to make it a law where it was a constitutional right for women to be able to have abortion. So that's when it was like 50 years ago where it was like legalized.
Isn't that crazy that like it's not that long
ago, just 50 years ago. When did women start voting too? It was in 1970s.
It's also recent.
Yeah.
Like it's,
and now you're taking that away in 2020. Like, are you good? Like,
I thought we've progressed,
it's
but
just
I guess
crazy.
not.
Yeah. I guess we're not that modern. I mean, they're the ones. There's like there were 9 justices making a decision for like so many millions of people and millions of women. But basically that's kind of the origin of it, and Roe is kind of like a fake name to cover the identity of the original.
It came up recently again because in Mississippi they kind of ruled that an abortion after 10 weeks of pregnancy is unconstitutional.
Right.
So they were like, we don't want to do that anymore. So they asked that this would be maintained so that if you're 10 weeks pregnant, you can't have an abortion, and that Roe versus Wade be overruled because there shouldn't be a constitutional right to have an abortion. So this is in Mississippi that they asked for this.
Where does this come up in your head where you're like
Afi was saying, there were 9 judges that kind of decided on this, and 6 out of the 9 judges appealed for it to be illegal to have an abortion.
You're illegal.
But they gave the right to each state to decide if abortion would be legal in their states.
Right, exactly.
So they were like, okay, we'll make it
state.
Illegal, but like if you have to decide it. They didn't actually like
they give you the
make
option
a decision basically
to make it either a legal or illegal thing.
Exactly. And so at the time that I was doing the research, this might have changed, but there were 13 states that triggered laws that they overturned Roe versus Wade. So they banned abortion. So like examples, Idaho, Kentucky, Texas, Missouri, and then etc. obviously. And then it was also said that a total of 26 states are certain or likely to ban
That's
abortion.
Like all the states.
That's like
40.
That's like 75%.
Oh my god.
So states that either have or haven't, since I did the research, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Utah, etc., etc. Yeah. It's like 75% of the U.S.
We don't have faith in them.
No.
Like they have the decision to either decide, and they still like.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like the judges were kind of like, yeah, we're gonna rule this because like we know that they're gonna make it illegal anyways, and we don't want to take all the blame, but we're blaming you.
But oh my, that's why one of the resources that I was seeing was to basically take like your state level, like your local politicians, like try to go not after them. Yeah, exactly, because it's also based on state to state, and then that's crazy. They even had, although the Supreme Court made it illegal and gave them the option, the states literally still decided to.
Yeah, it's also because like the country knows
they're very conservative too,
and
I feel like that.
Well, it was kind of like when Donald Trump got like voted as president, like, and we saw all the red states versus the blue states. Like, you already knew that the red states were gonna ban abortion.
We were going down. Like,
yeah, that's like the trigger.
Thought like when we knew Donald Trump became president, like that we lost hope in society.
Yeah, red flag number 1.
I think people even said that like. When he was elected, like we knew this was coming, kind of. Like a lot of people were following like politics and politicians, and depending on who is in power, it kind of tells you where things are going.
And I think it was like a huge shock factor to the rest of the world once Donald Trump was president, because you're like,
is this real?
They're like, is the US okay? Like, they're not. They're really not. Well, example number 57 over here. But I also read that this marks the first time in the US that the court has taken away a constitutional right. So they've never done this before, and they're starting with women's rights.
That's why. It's like, why are you targeting women? But it's like such a necessity. It's not just like anything. It's like
There's so many scenarios that like it would require an abortion to like save the woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what about their right to live?
Yeah. And it's not even saving the woman, because it also could be like you don't want to risk the child. Like there's so many factors.
And I was reading also, depending on the pregnancies, some of them even though you can keep them to term after they're born, they won't live.
Yeah.
The baby. So like, what is the point at that point?
Exactly. And it's just gonna cause like emotional damage, mental health issues. Like it's just.
And then you might lose 2 human beings and not one. You know.
Exactly. So let's go into the effects that this has. So obviously there's like people that are more affected than others. So 100% people of color are going to be more affected. People that are disabled, come from low income families, the LGBTQ plus community, immigrants, and even young people that just don't have the resources to like go through another abortion and stuff like that. So like it also was saying that most of these communities that I just mentioned are in the South, which is part of the more conservative states. So like they're likely going to have very much abortion be illegal. Yeah, exactly. I was also reading that some states allow abortion, but only for certain circumstances. So like if it's rape, or if like it's going to put the pregnant person's life at danger, then in those cases they're like, yeah, we'll allow it, but not for anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the Girls Gotta Eat episode they were talking about that, but they literally have to like evaluate whether this is life or death or not. But it's like, by that time, I'll be dead anyway.
No, yeah. And they're like not taking anything else into consideration.
Exactly. And they were saying how like doctors are kind of scared because I guess it puts their reputation and them on the line in their career if they accept to do an abortion when it's illegal and like how it's evaluated and all of that. So there's some doctors now don't even want to do it because they don't want to risk. So even though you may have the option to, if you're dying, you might not have the option to because your doctor's like, no, I'm not gonna like approve this or whatever.
Also because of this, people are gonna be forced to travel to different states to have a safe abortion. And again, most people won't have the resources to actually do that. And like also just to go to a hospital in the US costs thousands
of dollars. Yeah, exactly. It's expensive.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't have free. Well, we have free Medicare, but they don't.
They have to pay for it.
That's crazy.
And you have to pay for the travel. If you have to go to a different state, you have to pay for a hotel. And like, there's just like, people don't have the resources to do
You might not
this.
even have time. Like, what if you're in a severe condition and you need, like, you can't travel to like states that are hours away. Uncomfortable. Like, guys, like you're literally carrying. Okay. It's a fetus or whatever, it's not, but you're developing something in there and it's medically not safe. So when Kathy and I were doing research actually and like going through social media and reposts, this we saw a post that was actually pretty interesting and like why the right to abortion is actually really important and like medical reasons as to why, and it could actually save lives and not kill. So the first one was for an ectopic pregnancy, like the treatment would be an abortion. So what an ectopic pregnancy is, it's a pregnancy which happens outside of the uterus. So usually when you're pregnant, it's inside of the uterus. So it's a fertilized egg that implants in a structure that can't support its growth. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's like outside of your, exactly. And the thing is, it's not healthy because I read that like blood circulation for the baby and all of that, like once the term is done, they won't survive because they're not actually growing where they're supposed to and properly. And it's a life-threatening condition and is not a pregnancy that can actually be carried to term, and it can be very, very dangerous for the mother. So one of obviously the treatments is abortion for that. Then there's also a septic uterus, which the treatment would be abortion, but basically it's a septate uterus is when a thin tissue membrane called the septum runs down the middle of the uterus and divides it into 2 parts. So it's basically your uterus is divided into 2 parts, and it's not supposed to be normally. So women with septate uterus have higher chances of pregnancy loss or miscarriage or preterm birth and fatal malpresentation, which is basically when the baby is like facing head down, you know, when they're supposed to be facing head right. So, and the reason why an abortion would be a treatment is because, so septic uteruses are hard to kind of diagnose. You can't really tell until you've had multiple miscarriages. Hence, if you're having miscarriages, you would need an abortion to treat it. So that's why an abortion is needed. And then leading on to that, a treatment for miscarriage is abortion. So a lot of women have abortions, very common, and it's something you can't really control.
It's just the body, like, also, like, it could be that your body just can't handle a pregnancy, like, depending on, like, your own health and stuff like that. But it doesn't always need to be health-based either. It could be just, like, you know your life and you
100%.
cannot sustain a child. And it's like, you don't want to go through, because pregnancy is just...
It's not easy.
It's hard on, like, someone's mental health and physical health. And, like, maybe your mental health cannot sustain it, even to give it up for adoption. Like, there's so many reasons.
And even if you carry the child, and then they're like, okay, but you're gonna give it away for adoption, but your body goes through so much, you can still have postpartum depression. Like, there's so many things that affect you regardless of whether the child is not physically with you or not. Like, that's not the point. The point is, you should have the right to decide whether you're bringing a child or not into the world. That's a big decision. You're carrying another human being. Those are going to have big effects. Like, it's not just like you're going to the mall and buying something and then returning. Like, no.
And it could just be like, you don't want children. And like, it could have been an accident. 100%. And like, they're not going to fit into your life that way. So you just don't want to have give birth. It could also be like, there's extreme cases where like maybe both parents are like addicts, and like you don't want to put that on the children because like genetically they're also going to be an addict and stuff like that. Like, there's just so many reasons, and just like the fact that you don't get the choice. It's just like,
I think it's literally like almost this law is like slut shaming women for having. Because I feel like back in the day, having sex for pleasure for women is not, it's only to reproduce, right? Our one goal, reproduction. But it's like, no, we don't think like that anymore. And that is not the case. Women can have sex for pleasure. So like you said, kind of from the religious background of it, it's like shaming women, and it's like, oh, if you want to have sex, oh, you better be ready for the consequences. Or like to have a child, you can't just have sex for pleasure and have an abortion.
And it's also like, why are we still putting the blame on women? Because first of all, why are we all birth control has to be for women, not for men? All of the stuff that's gonna change our body and impact our body and our health, it has to be on the women, because the men, we can't.
Would you be born a man if you could?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Would I be born a man?
Like, if you could choose. Sorry, I just to like if you can choose, given everything in the world going on, and just how
if I'm basing it off of
like gender roles,
the right to live, like how I can live.
Yeah, kind of. Like just
then I would say yes, because I can have so many privileges of being a man. I wouldn't have to be scared crossing the street at night, like walking alone. Like, there's so many things that impact a woman that men don't realize. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me that men are deciding on something that they don't understand.
They don't understand. They don't even go through.
Exactly.
Like, why?
And even it's like, let's say if you get a doctor to like consult with them, like get a female doctor. Don't get a male doctor, because female doctors, first of all, they know like the medical reasons for it. And then they'll also know the emotional and mental health reasons for it. So it's like, at least get someone that like knows and can put into words how it's gonna feel like for people.
So answering the question of whether I choose to, I randomly asked that. I think it was relevant. But so I always want to be like, oh no, like I don't want to be like a woman, like we're so much better, but the thing is, when I thought about it, and to be honest, yeah, of course I choose to be a man. Like,
it's just, that's so much easier.
It's so much easier. There's so much less pressure, they have so much more freedom. They don't have to, it's exhausting. Being a woman.
And obviously we're not like, some cultures have it harder than others.
For men, there are societal pressures, but not compared to those of women.
Within the same culture.
Men can't carry children. They don't have to fight for the right to vote. They get paid better. Like, what do you mean? Is that even a question? Like,
that's why I just feel like this impacted us so much more, because it's just like 10 steps back.
I feel like we're already fighting for so many things, and now adding this on top of it, because we're continuously fighting for women's rights, for different types of equal opportunity, and now like
I just like, I feel like I have no faith in society, no trust in society. I'm just like,
I'm never moving to the States, that's for sure.
Never. Oh
but
God.
Hey, we don't know if Canada's any better at this point.
I mean,
we'll hope.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of rights, actually, no.
I feel
never mind.
It feels,
I was like starting to think, I'm like,
yeah, I don't know enough to fully say. It feels a bit more.
Canada's more indirect about things. That's the
yes,
thing.
They're like
the U.S.
subtle.
is like
they tell
banning
you
abortion.
Up. Yeah, us we're like
Canada's like
yeah, maybe.
Like, I'm gonna be crappy to the indigenous community.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
we're
like,
not any better.
Say anything about it.
Exactly.
Like they're very sneaky, Canada.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They act nice, but are they actually? We don't know.
That's why I don't trust people.
Yeah. That's why I don't trust issues.
Yeah.
They're political.
Because we're fucked. But anyways.
But also, like, just the effects, like Kathy was saying, like, people who are more privileged, have money, are white, like, for sure, it's gonna be easier for them. For sure, they'll have the difficulty of, like, the law being in their way, but like they're gonna have more resources, so if they really need an abortion, maybe they'll be able to get to the next state quicker.
Exactly.
Or I don't know,
and people
bribe the doctor,
you know,
like,
legit
I don't
though,
know.
and people that can't afford it, they're gonna either see like doctors illegally, which like you don't actually know if they're a doctor,
actually, right.
And it could be very unsafe.
Exactly.
They're gonna take matters into their own hands. Like it's gonna go back to like fucking medieval age, like trying to poke around.
What about suicidal rates?
Exactly.
Like, isn't that going to increase like
100%.
suicide for women because they won't know what to do, and like maybe they're going through pain, trauma, maybe they're already in a bad environment, like if they're, you know, and depending on how they're growing up, and low income households, like people, low income, like if you can't afford it, what do you do?
Unsafe.
This got me even angrier, but I'm really happy we had this discussion because I think it's important to like take time and moments to like talk, especially to like another woman, and like how we're feeling, because like you have to let it sink in. This is reality.
Yeah, which
is crazy to me.
I don't understand. I just don't.
Yeah, and like sometimes I feel helpless. Like, what do I do? But I know there are a lot of resources, and we're gonna link them below. Also,
sure. We're gonna link like educational resources, but also like places that you can donate, that sign petitions, like stuff like that.
And
as much
maybe
as we
even
can.
I think even in Canada there are a lot of protests, even though we're not the US, but there's a lot of protests to show support. And I think the point is just we have to all like make noise.
Yeah.
Like continuously make noise, even if you feel like, oh, that's not gonna do anything. No, like just go express yourself in however you can, and keep like pushing it, and maybe somehow we'll be able to. Let's not lose hope.
Yeah.
Like, because if we do, then we can't.
Then
it's
downhill
over.
from here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was the episode for today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It's obviously not something fun to talk about, but I think it's necessary. We hope this helped people maybe understand in general, or if you have any feedback or points we're missing, let us know in the feedback, comments, wherever you'd like. And we're gonna link resources below, any ways that you can help. And if you guys know about any other ways we can help that we didn't mention, for sure let us know. It was definitely more of a serious topic, but I think it was important. And pretty much we'll keep fighting and making noise, like we said.
Exactly. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.